The Lord is risen. I would have loved to imagine that first Easter, to have been there as the word ripples out in the community. Have you seen him? Have you touched him? Have you heard? He's alive. He's alive. That the people who had still burned into their memory Calvary and the cross and all of the anguish and the agony and the sorrow of his crucifixion, and those who had remembered taking his body down from that instrument of torture and placing it as reverently as they could in a tomb. He's alive. And in that moment, everything changes for the disciples. In that moment, they are transformed. In that moment, they go from sorrow to joy because he's alive. You see, up to that time, they had walked with Jesus. They had seen every miracle, listened to every teaching, watched every cure. It wasn't enough. Because, take Peter for example. When push come to shove, they were still afraid. 3 times Peter would betray Jesus. I don't know him. I don't know him. I don't know him. Not anymore. Because the power of the resurrection lights a fire within them, and it will burn like a torch. And from that light, they will not step out. Instead, they will take that light and they will go out into the world, and they will change the world. They will take the light of Christ, and they will share it with every person they have ever met. They are different now. They have nothing to be afraid of. What's there to be afraid of? He's victorious over sin and death. That everything that we have ever done that has broken our trust with God or one another can be renewed, can be healed, can be restored in Easter joy. And every fear we have ever had as we have said farewell to those we have lost and loved is wiped away, because now death is not the end. He's alive. And that every soul that we have ever loved who's gone before us waits for us in the hands of Christ, the crucified hands of Christ, who hold the living and the dead together. There is nothing to be afraid of in the light of the resurrection. He's alive. He's victorious. And he has changed their hearts. The transformation of the disciples doesn't come on their own power. It's because of the fact that Christ is within them. It's his body and blood they now receive in Holy Communion. It's his hope they hold on to in the light of the resurrection. It's Christ, resurrected in full glory, who's burning in their hearts. And because of his love and his grace and his strength, they will now go out into the world to boldly proclaim, to boldly face whatever is before them. And frankly, they will carry crosses. You see, the resurrection doesn't change the fact that there are struggles in the world. It doesn't change the fact that there is pain and suffering. What it changes is the way in which we carry the cross that we have. Christ carried his cross. They watched it. And he was triumphant. Which is why now these disciples will carry their crosses with joy, because they know that just as he is victorious, so now by looking at him they will have the same victory. They know that whatever this world throws at them, there is something greater, something stronger, something more beautiful and powerful, because he is alive. And in that strength, they too will face whatever challenges are before them. And they become our inspiration. Because, brothers and sisters, the same hope and the same power and the same grace that changed them is here today for the asking. That if we call upon the grace of Jesus, Jesus comes. That if we ask for God's help and God's strength, God gives it. God provides it. He's alive, and he's alive in us. Will we open our hearts? Will we allow the power of his resurrection to change us? Will we allow the hope and the life, the beauty and the grace, the strength that is for the asking, and will we let him in to make a difference in our lives? Will we let him change us, transform us to go out into the world? Because the world needs hope. The world needs a little strength. The world is hungry for something that will give them life and joy and peace. that we too can be like an Easter candle, that we can take that flame and we can share it, that we can bring light to the darkness, that we can bring hope to those who are really struggling, that we have the chance today, by opening our hearts to Jesus, receiving Him at the altar, and allowing Him to give us the strength and grace we need to face whatever is before us today, that as He transformed them, He can transform us to transform the world, to make the world, this gift that we've been given, a little bit more alive with His hope, with His light, with His love. My friends, today I simply ask, what is it that we need to set before the altar of Christ? What are the crosses that we carry? What are the struggles, the sadnesses, the challenges we face? We bring them here, and we bring them here because we know that we have a hope that will not disappoint, that we have someone to whom we can look to who understands our crosses. He's carried His own. And as He was victorious, He will give us what we need to keep going, to keep walking, to continue to burn like that torch with His love. What is it that we need to set before the cross of Jesus? What is it that we need to say, Lord, touch this, change this, heal this, put your blessing upon this part of my life with your love, with your joy. Friends, this is what Easter is all about. That we can claim His victory for our hearts. That we can hold on to His hope to face whatever in this world needs to be faced, dealt with, and addressed. This is Easter joy. And it's that Easter power I commend to you. For I'll say it once again, the Lord is risen. He is risen indeed. May God bless you all.